Over the course of the Brazilian GP, the Grand Prix Drivers Association created an Instagram page and they've put out a statement this morning, and I think it speaks to the volumes of the situation that Mohammed bin Sulayem faces as the president, as the FIA, and I think it really puts himself in jeopardy. I've spoke about it before, that I think he doesn't necessarily do his job correctly. I don't think he started off on the right foot, and I think it's just gone downhill ever since. Now, we obviously head into, I think next year's the election year for the head of the FIA, and I don't necessarily think he's got a good opportunity of keeping his role. Now, shall we get into looking at what the GDPA have put out? But before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50 subscribers by Christmas, and I know that you can help me by hitting that subscribe button. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. But shall we get into it? So here we have it then. I'm going to read what it says on the screen for you. So the GPDA statement regarding driver misconduct. As is the case with every sport, competitors must abide by the referee's decision, whether they like it or not. Indeed, whether they agree with it or not. That is how sport works. The drivers, our members, are no different and fully understand that. Our members are professional drivers, racing in Formula 1, the pinnacle of international motorsport. They're the gladiators, and every racing weekend they put on a great show for the fans. With regards to swearing, there is a difference between swearing intended to insult others and much more casual swearing, such as you might use to describe bad weather, or indeed an inanimate object, such as a Formula 1 car or a driving situation. We urge the FIA President to also consider his own tone, language when talking to our member drivers, or indeed about them, whether in a public forum or otherwise. Further, our members are adults. They don't need to be given instructions via the media about matters as trivial as wearing jewellery and underpants. If you go back a few years to Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel with that, the GPDA, has on countless occasions expressed its views that driver monetary fines are not appropriate for our sport. For the past 3 years, we've called upon the FIA President to share the details and strategies regarding how financial fines are allocated and where the funds are spent. We have also relayed our concerns about the negative image financial fines bring to the sport. We once again request that the FIA President provides financial transparency and direct and open dialogue with us. All stakeholders, FIA, F1, the teams and the GPDA should jointly determine how and where the money is spent for the benefits of the sport. The GPDA wishes to collaborate in a constructive way with all stakeholders, including the FIA President, in order to promote our great sport for the benefit of everyone who works in it, pays for it, watches it, and indeed loves it. We are playing our part. Obviously signed by the likes of George Russell, the other drivers, etc. Now, for me, I completely understand where the drivers are coming from. You go back to Max Verstappen receiving community service for swearing. You then go to Charles Leclerc only receiving a fine for swearing. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell got Mercedes £10,000 worth of fines this weekend for breaking a technical directive, which is normally a disqualification. But for some reason this weekend it was okay, it was allowed. It was just a fine. Now, for me, I think over the course of the last few years, I think the FIA have done the wrong thing on numerous occasions. I don't necessarily they're looking for the best interests of the sport. I don't necessarily think bin Sulayem is trying to do the best for the sport. In my opinion, if drivers, teams are going to be fined for X, Y, and Z, then I believe that that money should go to either a charity of the driver or team's choice, or it should go to helping underprivileged children get involved in karting, having teams around the world, not just around the UK or Europe, but having teams around the world who can provide underprivileged kids with the opportunity to drive sort of FIA spec go-karts with teams. Now, obviously it would have to come at a cost to people, but if you could help fund those situations with those grassroots areas, then it can be subsidised. You can have less of a cost. Now, for me, this whole swearing malarkey, the jewellery, the underwear, it just doesn't make sense. drivers are adults. A lot of people that watch F1 are adults. Don't get me wrong, there is the opportunity that kids watch and things like that. And yes, I do believe that drivers should show themselves in a better light. But ultimately, they're adults. They're going to say things, especially in the heat of the moment in the car. They're going to say things. And what we need to understand is that it's the media that shows these things. It's not the drivers speak, the media show it. The media can bleep it. The media can skip past it. They can do those things. Editing is simple. It's such a simple task. You can mute the part where the driver swears. Like, it's not difficult. I do it on my channels all the time, where you cut bits out. You silence a little bit here, you silence a little bit there. For me, it's more to do with the likes of copyright infringements on my main channel and things like that. You just take those bits out. It's not difficult. And I just don't quite understand what the FIA president is doing. In my personal opinion, he started off on the wrong foot by not rectifying Abu Dhabi 2021. And since then, he's targeted the likes of Sebastian Vettel. He's targeted Lewis Hamilton. He's now beginning to target the likes of Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, whereas other drivers along the lines of Lando Norris, George Russell, often get given a bit more leeway, in my opinion. Now, there's a lot of talk over the course of the last few weeks about British bias. I've got a video coming out about that in a couple of days' time, but it's just difficult watching the FIA and the GPDA disagree on so many things. Why are we at this point where they're not talking? That, as the GPDA have acknowledged in this statement, they've tried to learn. They've tried to understand what the FIA is doing, to no response. We've obviously heard comments of Ben Sulayem calling F1 drivers, we're not rappers, stuff like that. And things that, in my opinion, and many others' opinion, has a bit of a racial undertone, especially when the situations that have happened over the course of recent years have mainly been at the detriment of those underprivileged. Now, I'm not talking about Max Verstappen when I talk about underprivileged. I'm talking about the likes of Lewis Hamilton, Yuki Tsunoda. Now, I'm not saying Yuki Tsunoda has had anywhere near the issues that Lewis Hamilton has. Yes, he's had his issues as well, but you look at the way the FIA has treated Lewis Hamilton over the course of the last few years. Look at the way Lewis Hamilton has been treated by some of the other drivers on the grid, some of the other teams on the grid over the course of the last few years, and the way he's treated by the media. And realistically, that whole agenda is led by the FIA, because the FIA push onto Lewis. They go for Lewis at times, and I'm not saying Lewis is the only one. I think it happens to a lot of the drivers on the grid, but I think Lewis is the main one they go after. And in my opinion, it's because he's the best. It's because he's the greatest ever driver that Formula One has ever seen. He's the best driver on the grid right now. And even though he's not in a performing Mercedes, he's still the one that everyone's compared to. Everyone looks up to. Everyone wants to beat Lewis. And this whole FIA, GDPA situation has got to be sorted quickly. Because if it's not sorted, I can tell you now, Ben Sulayem will not be the FIA president in a few years' time. Now, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you have not done so already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. Come back over the course of the next few days. There'll be more videos coming talking about British bias, Mercedes sabotaging Lewis Hamilton. Make sure you check out Kitbag down in the description as well. Use code CROSSBAR for a discount on a range of different items over there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll catch you in the next one. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula One and football week.